What's good, everyone? Welcome back to a brand new Amazon video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about, is Amazon a good long-term job? I'm going to be asking some questions and kind of seeing if Amazon is a good long-term job. And if you haven't worked at Amazon before, I'm going to be giving you an answer on if you are looking for a long-term job right now that you want to be at for a few years, should you work at Amazon? Before we do get started, I did upload a video on my other channel, Nate the Padilla. Go ahead and check that out. I gave away some money in that video, so go ahead and check that out. And another thing as well is I will be announcing the giveaway winners from my Ukraine live stream that I did last month. I will be announcing that on this Friday's video, so go ahead and check that out as well. But definitely go check out the video on my other channel, Nate the Padilla. I did a try not to laugh challenge where every time I laughed, I gave away an Amazon gift card code, so go check that out. And yeah, link is in the description below to that channel. I'll probably put a card right there somewhere too. And let's get straight into this video. So, is Amazon a good long-term job? To really answer that question, I gotta kind of ask more questions first. So I have 5 questions written down, and we're kind of gonna go through each one of them and see, is Amazon a good long-term job for you? And we're gonna start off straight off with number 1, which is, can you work your way up the ladder? These questions are kind of things that you would ask when you're looking for a long-term job, and you'd kind of say like yes or no to them. So I'm gonna answer the first one. Can you work your way up the ladder at Amazon? Kind of depends. For the most part, I would say no. I would answer that straight up as no. You probably can't work your way up the ladder, but again, it kind of depends. If you're working at a brand new site that just opened, a lot of the times when you first start working there, the first couple of months, maybe even the first year, they're constantly moving people up. They're constantly moving people around, doing lateral moves, and just changing everyone out and kind of testing out who can do what and trying to teach everyone to do everything, and also just looking for the new PA or maybe even the new AM. So if you're working at a brand new site, yeah, you probably can go ahead and move your way up the ladder. It's very easy to do that. But if you're working at a site that's already been open for like a year or two, it starts to get really, really difficult to move up the ladder. And even at some points, it's honestly kind of impossible. So if you're working, sorry, my cat and dog are playing around. I need to kick them out the room. But yeah, if you're working at a site that's been around for a while, the possibility of moving upwards and like trying to become a manager or maybe even the general manager of the entire warehouse starts to become extremely, extremely slim, because once they get to that point where they've already been open for a couple of years, what they start to do is hire people outwards. They start to hire people from outward, like they list manager positions just for people to apply in general and not for the actual employees inside the warehouse already. So I would say generally the answer is no, unless your site is new. So question number 2 on something that I would see as important for a long-term job, which is scheduling and the hours at the job consistent? And for this one, I would say mostly yes. The scheduling is very, very consistent for sure. You always get your 4 or 5 or maybe even 3 days depending on how much you work. You always get that every single week. That almost never changes. Actually, I say it almost never changes. It never changes. You might get your MET days, which is mandatory extra time, meaning you have to come in for overtime an extra day. But the other days, they always stay the same. They never change unless you personally go through and change them. Your hours stay the same. All of it's very consistent. And for the most part, getting hours is consistent as well. This year, it was so slow at Amazon that we actually did end up having some MTO at some sites, which is mandatory time off, which means that you have to not go to work at all. Sometimes it was paid for some people. For most people, it wasn't paid. So it kind of just depends. Again, Amazon is not 100% fully like, it's not an extremely consistent schedule for some sites, but I think for a large majority of sites, I would probably say like 95 or 90% of sites, you're going to have a consistent schedule throughout most of the year, especially when we're going through periods where it's just normal. It's not slow as hell. You're not getting a bunch of ETO. When you're going through those normal periods, it's for sure consistent. And again, sometimes you get mandatory extra time, but for the most part, you're still keeping the same consistent schedule. So to answer the question, is scheduling and the hours consistent? I would say yes, but with a grain of salt, because there are some times in the past like 2 years, it's never happened to me personally, but I've seen it happen to other sites where you can get taken off the schedule and not get paid for it. So that's unfortunate, but for the most part, yeah, it is consistent. And then we'll get on to number 3, which is, are there wage increases and bonuses? So I think that's something that's really important when you're looking for a job that you want to work long term or like for a long time at. You kind of want to know, if I'm working here for like 3 years, am I going to be making a couple dollars more than when I first started? And to be honest, I think this question is kind of yes and no, but I think in general, I'm going to say probably no. Because you do get consistent raises like every 6 months, every 12 months, depending on how long you've been there or depending on your site specifically as well. I know mine, I think, is like 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, and then 24 months, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of confusing, and it also depends on your site, but you get raises. They're only like 25 cents. They used to be only 10 or 15 cents. Thankfully, they changed them to 25 cents. So you get a 25-cent raise about every single period of that time until it gets to like the 24th. I think you get even more of a raise. But what the problem is that if you're looking for a long-term job, which I would say is probably like at least 3 years, by the time you hit your 3-year mark at Amazon, you can no longer get raises anymore. They do not boost your wages. You just kind of stay on the same amount. So if you're making $20 at the end of your 3rd year period, you're going to no longer get any raises at all while you're working there. So you're just going to be sitting there making the same amount of money. And if you stay there for another 3 years, you're still going to be making the same amount of money that you were making previously, unless they do a nationwide wage increase, which they do occasionally, but it's been quite some time since they've done that. So I would generally say no, they do not give raises, and bonuses occasionally. Depends on your site. Honestly, my site hasn't gotten one in a really, really long time now, like probably a year or more now. It's been a while since we've gotten a bonus, but in general, I would say no, they do not give bonuses. Like I know a lot of jobs give holiday bonuses. Amazon does not do that for the most part. Some sites occasionally do, but for the most part, most sites don't. So I would say if you're asking like, are there wage increases in bonus, because that is an important factor in working a long-term job, I would say no, it is not. So far we have 2 no's and 1 yes. So 3 out of 5, there's 5 questions by the way. So as of right now, I would say no, Amazon is not a good long-term job. But let's get on to the 4th question, which is, are they understanding of your time off needs? Now, when I say time off needs, I don't mean taking a day of PTO. I mean as if you're going to be a father, if you're expecting to be a father, are they going to give you some time off for when your kid is born? If you get injured, are they going to give you time off? Paid, by the way, this is all paid time. I'm not talking about unpaid time, because if you're looking for a long-term, full-time job, unpaid time means absolutely nothing to you. So basically, if you ever get injured or if something happens, like you get into a car accident, are they going to give you some paid time off? And unfortunately, the answer for the most part is no. They don't care about what happens outside. There's people that I've seen in my comments say that they've gotten injured at work, and not just an injury for like a couple of days. I'm talking about months on end, and Amazon doesn't give them any paid time off. And even in some cases, they don't accept their leave approval, which means that they still have to go to work, even if they can't even walk on their own 2 legs. So the answer is just no. I'm not going to go too into detail on this, but no, they are not accommodating for your time off. If you need an extended amount of a period of time of paid time off, they're not going to do that for you for the most part. For most sites, they won't do that. I think I've ever seen a site that does actually give you paid time off for like an injury, or maybe you're expecting, or anything like that. It's just, it doesn't happen at Amazon. So I would put that into your mind when you have a good long-term job, because if you're at a job for like 5, 10, 20 years, chances are there's going to be a point of time where you need to at least miss a week, and maybe you don't have time off to use it, and Amazon's not going to be accommodating for that. So just know that going in. And then we'll get on to the final question. Right now we are already at 3 no's and 1 yes, so that pretty much answers the question, but we'll still ask the final question, which is, will you be satisfied and happy long term? This depends on you. For me personally, I don't think I would. I mean, I say I don't think I would. I know I wouldn't. If I had to stay here for another 5 years or so, I don't think I'd be satisfied. I don't think I'd be happy. It's just not creative. Like, it's not fulfilling for me. It's not fulfilling. It doesn't fulfill my creative ideas that I have and things that I want to do outside of Amazon. It's just not satisfying enough for me to say that I'll be here for a few years. But if you're into warehouse work, or if you're into stationary work and you have no problem going into like an office, sitting there and doing one thing all day, if you have no problem doing that, because that's kind of what like Amazon is like, and if you like to be on your feet all day, or if you like to move around all day, then maybe you will like this job long term. Maybe you'll be fine working here for maybe 5, 10 years. Otherwise, though, if you're in my situation where I don't want to do this and I find it bored sometimes, and there's even times where I get burnt out for a little bit, if you're in that situation like me, then I don't think so. I would personally answer this no, but this really just depends on the person. It could be a yes for you, but for me, it's a no. So that pretty much answers the question, is Amazon a good long-term job? Me personally, I don't believe so. It's just I don't think it's safe for somebody to work here for a long period of time. I also don't think that in 30 years from now they're going to have a lot of the positions that they have available right now in the future. So they're going to be replacing a lot of these humans with like machines eventually at some point. I don't think that'll happen anytime soon. Like not in the next decade, I don't think, but definitely like 3 decades from now I could see that. So I don't think Amazon is a company that you want to stick with for a while. And if you're considering it, if you're looking for a full-time job, job right now and you're thinking maybe I'll work at Amazon, but you're also thinking, is that what I want to do long term, or is it possible to do that long term? I would say no. You might be good to go in there for like the next 2 or 3 years, maybe even 5 years, but I wouldn't expect to do anything much longer than that, and I wouldn't want to do anything much longer than that myself. So with that being said, the answer is no. But I'm going to end that video there, guys. Thank you so much for watching this one. Let me know down in the comments below what you think. Do you think Amazon is a good long-term job, or do you think it's something that you should just come in, do for a year or two, maybe be a revolving door job, but just get out of there? Let me know down in the comments below. And again, go ahead and check out my other video on my other channel, Nathan Padilla, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching this video. Oh, leave a like on this video as well and subscribe if you haven't already. Peace.